Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. So obviously yesterday we saw a really insane, really overall weekend of League of Legends. I wanted to say insane finals and series in the LCS, but I mean, it was a crazy weekend with the LEC semifinals, LCS semifinals, LEC finals, LCS finals, all of these being really crazy series with insane hyped up results, and obviously with Cloud9 taking down the championship yesterday 3-2, winning that LCS title, punching their ticket to MSI. There's so many different stories to talk about, and obviously we have like I think around a month or at least 3 weeks until MSI starts, so we have a ton of different videos and stories and stuff to cover. And one of the biggest stories from this past weekend was obviously the health of Santorin. Obviously the issues with him having to sit out, having to miss the semifinals, and him having to miss the finals, but also Armao stepping in and really defying all odds and defying all expectations, and just kind of going forward. What does this mean for Team Liquid? What does this mean for Santorin? And what does this mean for Armao? And does this maybe tell us a little bit something more about NA talent? I know this is something that keeps coming up in discussions, but it's something we're going to keep talking about. But before we get into that, I just want to mention real quick, if you guys have not already, please take a second, smash that like button. I would appreciate it so much. It really helps me out the YouTube algorithm, helping get my videos, content, channel out to more and more people. It's an easy and awesome way to help support me and my content. If you're interested in doing that, also subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content so you guys don't miss out on anything we got going in the future. We're going to be talking about stories preparing for the summer split, stories preparing for MSI, ton of good stuff coming your way really soon. With that being said, let's get right into this. I wanted to cover this tweet from Jat. He said he also wanted to say how incredibly proud of the team he is. Armao stepping in as a sub, pushing this series to the absolute limit and nearly pulling it off. They're absolutely gutted, but they'll get revenge in summer. Send love to our team, please. And obviously there were so many people talking about both sides of this. So many people saying, wow, Team Liquid lost 3-2 without Santorin. If they would have had Santorin, this would have been a stomp, you know, like, oh, Santorin, the second best jungler in the LCS, he was out and you guys still barely won. Like, oh, Cloud9's overrated, Cloud9 sucks, or oh, TL, you know, they feel so bad for them because this is obviously like a little bit BS. I mean, not like BS, but it sucks that they're missing one of their better players, one of the better players in the region, one of the better junglers in the region, and he could have made a big impact on the series. And all they needed to do was win one more game. All they needed to do was get a little bit better, be a little bit stronger. So, you know, obviously some people are putting a little bit of an asterisk by this Cloud9 title, putting a little bit of an asterisk from this MSI appearance, from what kind of greatness Perks is doing. And I don't agree that that is correct. I don't think people should really be taking anything away from Cloud9 or what they've been able to do, because obviously it was still a really fun, really awesome series yesterday. But then on the other side of just Armao himself, people were really writing, myself included, and how could you not, a backup jungler, an academy jungler, who hadn't even necessarily been looking that amazing in academy, from what it sounds like, being subbed in last minute, having at most 2 days to scrim and prepare with this team. It was going to be tough. So obviously a lot of people were writing them off. I think a lot of people expected a really handily victory for TSM in the semifinals. I know a lot of people were predicting 3-1. A lot of people were predicting 3-2 series wins for TSM, even though TL was probably the more talented team, was probably the better looking team coming into that series. But this was just such a shock to people. I mean, we had such little time to even break this down or decide what this is going to mean or even figure out what was going on. Because at first, it was like Santorin's just going to miss game one. Maybe he'll miss the whole series, but maybe not. And then that turned into a miss in the whole entire finals weekend, which was really crazy. So people wrote him off against TSM. Obviously they won, but then in the finals against Cloud9, where Cloud9 had been looking amazing, and also the biggest mismatch of the series, you know, a lot of people were talking about Alphari against Fudge, huge mismatch, Alphari's going to have a chance to dominate, but then all of a sudden you're throwing the MVP, the best jungler in North America, perhaps the best jungler in North American or LCS history, up against Armao, up against an academy player, up against a guy who hasn't been able to find a ton of success in the LCS and is being thrown in last minute, unprepared. This was going to be jungle diff. This is going to be 3-0. This is going to be easy peasy for Cloud9. And it was anything but. I mean, yes, Blabber did have a good series, but it was not because Armao just rolled over. It was not because Armao did not fit the part or look like an LCS caliber jungler. He came and stepped up big and really performed well in a lot of games in this series and looked really good in a lot of ways. And it has me kind of thinking that if Team Liquid would have went to MSI, I know I was tweeting during the games and stuff, would Armao have gotten to play? Would he have been subbed in at all? And going forward, I know there's some people saying that, like, should Armao be maybe playing. I've seen a lot of tweets about whether people or not think that TL should maybe go with the 6-man roster. Like, not even because Armao looked that amazing. It looked like he did have some mistakes. Obviously, he had some big moments. He had some big blunders. He had a couple ints and stuff. But my thinking, I think a lot of other people's thinking is like, if this is what Armao looks like unprepared, if this is what he looks like without an entire split to gel with his team and synergize with them and practice against them, going up against the best team in the LCS, going up against the MVP in the jungle, and going up against a team that has been together since the lock-in tournament, practicing together for almost 4 months now, what would Armao look like if he has the next couple of months and the entire summer split to gel with this Team Liquid team? How would that go? What would that look like? And also, I think another very, very important factor in this whole thing is that, like, Team Liquid is obviously a team that's never been afraid to throw money around. They've never been a team that's scared of, you know, the big dollar signs and the big paychecks and everything. But I'm not going to say that Armao is better than Santorin or has looked better than Santorin or anything, but for a fraction of a cost, could he be a much better investment dollar for dollar? Because yes, Santorin was the second best jungler in the LCS. He finished second in the All-Pro voting, but honestly, I think for the first time in a while, jungle might be the weakest position in the LCS right now. Like, think about the junglers this year. Closer did not have a good season at all. Spica, honestly, was really up and down the season and really, really inconsistent. Outside of Blabber, where is the jungle competition in North America right now? I think Santorin finished second, not because he was so great or so amazing this year, but because he was very solid, and at times he was really good. But there was nobody else ever pressuring him. There was nobody else ever really stepping up. You know, Dardoch had some moments in the split of really showing pop-off performances and carry performances, but he kind of faded as the year went on as well. The jungle talent is just not there in North America right now. We are not having good jungle performances. I mean, when you go over and look at the LEC and see what guys like Elyoya and Inspired were able to do in the finals and then competing up against each other, what those jungle matchups look like back and forth, and then you watch like even the TSM TL series, seeing Armao and Spica going back and forth. This is not high-level jungle play going on in North America right now, and this does, that just kind of, it's leading me to my point of that, yes, Santorin was the second best jungler in the LCS, and yes, he was good for Team Liquid this year, but I don't think he's completely unreplaceable. I don't think he was the second best jungler because he was so amazing. I think there is a massive gap right now between Santorin and Blabber. I think Blabber is the only great jungler in North America. I think he's the only great jungler in the LCS, and I think anyone else is extremely replaceable, including Santorin, including Spica, including Closer, unless they step up. That's just kind of how it is. But also, when we take a look at like the brackets, I know this is what a lot of people are going to point to, obviously, when we had C9 and TL facing off previously. April 3rd, Saturday, the winner's bracket finals, I guess this was. TL had Santorin in that series. Now, some people are saying, oh, maybe Santorin was already not feeling great back then. Maybe he was already having some migraines. Maybe he was already experiencing some of this illness. And that's definitely very, very possible. But this was a 3-1 series for C9 against TL. Fast forward to the finals. This is Armao stepping in on this was like his 3rd or 4th day with the team at that point. And this is a 3-2 series. This series looked much more close. This series looked much more like TL actually had a chance to win. TL was up 2-1. And a lot of people were beginning to write Cloud9 off. But obviously Perk stepped up, had an awesome performance. Fudge stepped up crazy. C9 had some crazy drafts, some crazy strategies, and they were able to pull it out. But TL looked a lot better in the finals. I'm not saying that it was all because of Armao. I'm not saying Armao automatically makes Team Liquid better, but I'm just saying Team Liquid did look better and Armao was in there, and they didn't look terribly worse. It didn't look like a huge jungle difference. It didn't look like Armao couldn't fit in with his team. It didn't look like he couldn't do a lot of the same things that Santorin does. And again, I think that price tag is a really, really big thing. But then also thinking again to the future, Santorin only signed a 1-year deal with Team Liquid. Is that because he only wanted to commit for 1 year? Is that because Team Liquid only wanted to commit for 1 year? Is that because Team Liquid has some, just kind of idea of going and getting some crazy jungler this next offseason? I don't know exactly what's going to happen. Are they going to maybe be able to get another import slot if Core JJ gets his green card and all that type of stuff? I don't know exactly what their future plans are, but at least for the summer split, Again, I'm not saying that Santorin is better. I'm not saying that Grigg should be starting over him or whatever. But I think at the very least, Grigg has shown that he deserves a spot in the LCS. I think he should be on one of the teams come summer split. I haven't really gone through all the rosters. I don't really have a pick or prediction of where I think he could go or should go or anything like that. I don't even know if a roster slot's going to open up. But I think from this finals, from this playoffs, he definitely earned himself hopefully a lot of money. I think at the very least, going into 2022, he should maybe at least be able to try out for a starting jungle position for an LCS team because he showed he does have some capability. And historically, Grigg or Armao is a guy who's always been a scrim god. People have been really, really impressed with how he's able to play in scrims, in isolated environments, but he's never been able to kind of get that stuff on the stage, you know, with TSM, with some other kind of experiences he's had in the past. That's always been the story with him, but showing up in the semifinals against TSM when everyone's writing you off, when there's a ton of pressure with your whole team season riding on you, and then showing up in the finals against the MVP, against Perks, in another situation where everybody's writing you off and your whole team season's on the line and you had no time to prepare. I'm just really curious, what would TL look like if Armao got a full split, if he got a full year? Would they look better potentially with Armao than with Santorin in there? Would it look similar? Would they be way worse? I'm not exactly sure. Either way, I think to really end this conversation, Santorin needs to step up massively come the summer split. And I think, they signed him to be one of the best junglers in the LCS. They signed him to be legitimate competition to Blabber, if not even better than Blabber, because last summer, Santorin was probably a better jungler than Blabber, but now, again, come this spring split, Blabber is starting to distance himself away. We'll see if Blabber's able to keep up that consistency or if not, but there are some people asking these questions out there of, should a six-man roster be possible? Should Armao just get a chance to start and see what happens? Should Santorin come in and Armao just go back to Academy? I mean, I don't know. That would feel kind of bad. That would kind of suck. And TL has spoken really highly of Armao this whole season. That it seems like they do really believe in him, and have confidence in him. So that is interesting. And then obviously, just talking about the All-Pro teams, how we talked about earlier, there was Blabber at 139, Santorin at 82 points, and then the next closest jungler at 28. So, these are the top two junglers for sure from the season. And the margin between those two guys and even third, fourth, or fifth is so big, but I really even think that there's this really, really big gap between first and second. So jungle's a big issue, but it also shows that Academy talent is there in North America. Academy talent can perform. Young, inexperienced players in North America, even with a short amount of time, can perform on the biggest stages, and they deserve more opportunities. I know LS, I think, was talking a little bit about how it shouldn't take a player getting sick for a guy like Grigg to even get an opportunity, to even get a chance to prove himself. We need to be giving more of these players more chances, more often, to really even find out what they got, because no one expected Armao to look as good as he did. No one expected Team Liquid to look as good as they did with Armao playing, but here we are, and we never would have known if Santorin didn't get sick. So in the end, do I think TL has a jungler controversy? I don't know. I think the case to be made is there. I think I believe in this a lot more strongly than I think a lot of you are going to, or than a lot of other people are going to. I do expect Santorin to come back, be the starting jungler. I don't think they're going to split time. I don't think they're going to go with the six-man roster. I don't think Armao is going to get to play unless, these health issues or something that keeps popping up, unless it's something long-term. But I do believe that Armao has proved himself. I believe he deserves some playing time. And again, I don't think it's going to happen, but I would just be really, really curious to see how he would do with some extended time, because I think there's a chance that Team Liquid wouldn't look much worse. And again, with none of these teams making money, to be spending all this money on marginal upgrades or maybe just a little bit better players, that's not sustainable, and that doesn't make sense. But that's pretty much it for this video today. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I would really appreciate it if you dropped a like. That'd be awesome. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about this situation? Do you think they should do a six-man roster? You think Armao should start, or do you think they're rolling with Santorin, and this was just, nice of Grigg to step up and do this stuff in the moment? Subscribe, stay up to date on the latest content. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace!